Alrighty. Yeah. Looks like everything is working. Gonna do a quick posty post, and then we will get started. I have a few plans. We will see how they go. Okay, close those because we don't need the extra RAM usage. Okay, now it's closed. Yeah, so we have currently let me move this down. There we go. We currently have our little character. Moves left and right. He only has one jump height currently, but let me shrink this stuff for now. But I'll be changing that later. We don't need to change it for now, and I figure trying to maximize his movement things it's pointless for now. You end up getting stuck in the weeds and you don't get anything else done. So we're going to instead move over to the game controller and start working on things like respawn. We also should work on the camera movement. Currently, it is. I don't think smooth follow is included in anything outside of the standard assets, which is fine. We could currently do a pretty simple script before we move into Cinemachine, because I want to play with that outside of this stream so I can learn it. But Cinemachine has some really cool tools for following objects, and it looks super convenient, but again, I need to watch a tutorial on that before I try and dive into it, because then otherwise it'll just be a bunch of me staring at components, not knowing what to do. So for now, we will do a demo camera follow. Just a nice simple script that we can get rid of later. Let me open up this folder, create a folder for cameras. Because I actually eventually want to do some, I won't call it clever because we won't know until it's done, but there's some ideas I have for doing silly stuff that should be a hoot. Put this in its own namespace, and I will turn this on for you. I should add some hotkeys for this. I'll do that next time. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to give this a target. So we're going to say private transform target. We will serialize that so we can see it in the inspector. And we'll say no for now. We already have the cameras transform. And what we're going to say is if the position of the camera is not the position of the player, we want it to move towards the player. So if transform.position does not equal, oh, I actually meant to write target here. Does not equal target.position, then we will close the gap. Let's see here. So we want it to move towards them, so you're looking at vector 2. Oh yeah, actually right now we're doing a vector 3. We actually want it to be a vector 2 because we want to ignore the z position. So we will say vector 2, get rid of that system numerics, that's so irritating. Vector 2 target equals target dot vector 2 target dot position x target dot y, and then we will do vector 2 current equals new vector 2 transform dot position dot x transform dot position dot y, and we'll fix this previous one that I goofed on. Oh, what am I missing here? Position. Oh, I used the same name as the previous variable. So we'll say target current pops, target pops, and that should almost be right. This is always harder when you're talking while doing it than when you're doing it on your own, which is why I do a lot of work outside of videos. It's just much easier for me to handle. Okay, so if the target position does not equal the current position, we will get the direction that we are moving. I think that's right. Or will we just lerp? What is it? Lerp? Lerp between target position and current position. Now the thing we're missing here is the t value. That would increase over time. So I need to think about that. What's the best way to do that? These are indeed options. It's always the fun bit, seeing if your logic... Ah! Okay. Didn't think about that. Cam speed equals... we'll start it at 5, because that's actually what somebody else suggests online. And we'll say transform.position equals this. And it'll be cam speed times time.delta time. And then we'll look and see if there's any errors. There don't appear to be. Now we can close that again. Camera has the demo follow on. Oh, you actually have to attach the target. My bad. So the target is the player. And then we'll turn off Visual Studio so you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so what went wrong? Z position is currently 0. So the camera moved into the player, which was exactly what I said earlier was a concern. So what we're gonna do is vector 3 new position equals this, and then new position dot z equals transform dot position dot z, and then this. So this, coming back over here, what I've done, can you see my mouse? You can, okay. So we do that lerp, then we clear out the, we change the z position, or we add the z position rather, because vector 2 doesn't have a z, so what's happening is z is 0 in this case, so then we're adding it here. Okay, that should be great, and I apologize for any extra noise. We have terrible air conditioning here, and it has to run constantly. All right, so now we can see the camera. Oh, that is... I mean, I still want to use Cinemachine later, but that's not bad. Yeah, look at that. We already finished our first task, huh? That's pretty great. Okay, so we got our camera done, and you'll notice that the UI moves with it because that is attached to the camera with cam space rather than just a world space position. Awesome. All right, let's make a controller's object. I like to try and keep my workspace clear if I can, and to my detriment sometimes. You end up putting a little bit too much in one location sometimes. But create a map, and zero that out. We'll put the demo platform in there. So now the demo platform has a relative position to its parent, which in this case is 0, so it hasn't effectively moved anywhere. But yeah, okay. So we should probably make this platform a lot longer. Now if we zoom out, we'll find that it is indeed a lot longer. That'll give us some space, some wiggle room, and we're also going to stretch it. 20? The size of a collider is irrelevant for processing power, as far as I'm aware, so you can make objects as big or as small as you want. All right, so now we got our moving camera, and we've got our big old play space. That's cool. Next, we need to go into the game controller and add in respawning. So we're gonna be in Visual Studio for a little bit here, which is fun for me. Might not be fun for you. I guess time will tell. If it isn't, I apologize. But, you know. Okay. Player, controller. Player. Serialize that. This will give us a reference to the player. Now, it's actually kind of bad form on start to go looking for different objects, but yeah, we will be doing that. Later, I'm actually going to do this with events. Basically, when the player dies, it's going to go, I died, and then anything listening for that will respond. But for now, because we're working on a tighter time frame, we're going to just have it as a direct connection. So on start, we're going to say player equals find object of type player controller. There's only one in the scene, so this will find it and assign it, and we will name our little player. Well, no, player's fine. That'll work for now, because we may actually make it so later you can give him a name and changes his avatar and stuff. I think that would be fun. Excuse me, I might turn this microphone a little bit. Okay, so this actually doesn't do much anything, it looks like, in the non-builds, but I'm just going to leave it there. All right, so we got our player. We're also going to add in using Odin. What's it? What's it called? Cyrenex? I'm so embarrassed. I've totally forgotten. So we'll just create a function first. Private respawn. Private void respawn. Otherwise, it's a class instead of a function. And we'll go respawn, and that's going to, there we go, Cyrenex Odin Inspector. Okay. Fantastic. All right, so we need to have a start position. There's many different ways that you can do start positions in Unity, but like you could save a vector 2 that tells you where it's going to be, but that's not very visually pleasing. So what I like to do, we'll say create level 1. You can actually create an object which will be your start position. So we've got our sprite renderer, and we'll create, we don't have a good object for it. Let me check my folders real quick and see if we have something fun. Again, I bought Kenny's art finally, so I feel less bad about using it. There's a website called kenny.nl, which is super useful. He creates a bunch of just fantastic assets, and I tend to feel bad using them because, you know, the guy puts all his time in and I wasn't giving him money, and it just makes you feel like trash. But now I have given him money, so I feel better. So it's amazing how that works out, you know? Ooh, yeah, I like that. And then I will go into the projects. We have a world folder, platforms, widgets. What would you call it? Map tools. Actually, yeah, we'll just make map tools its own thing. So show and explorer, because I need to put the object in there. We got a lovely little star here. And this star is going to be our start position. And we can make it larger. 5 is probably good. And we can say it's right here. Now, obviously, start position. Obviously, when we start the game, we don't want to have a big yellow star there. So we can actually make it turn off when the game starts. And we can even turn it off now, but that gives us a position. So now we go in, and we probably should create a map controller. Or we'll just call it a level. And we can create lists of levels and things like that. So we'll open this up once it compiles. Now, what does a level consist of? In this case, it won't consist of much. For now, it's just going to have a public, or sorry, private. No, it can be public. The way it can be public is private transform start position. Then we create a public transform, which will, sorry, let me put an underscore here, because we want it to be hideous so that we know we don't, if we see it anywhere, we know we're using it wrong. And then we have start position, get, sorry, let me move these on, get, return start position, and that is it. We don't need setting. And then we serialize it, equals no. We come back to Unity. Drop this bad boy in there. And now we have a level component. So we'll go over to the game controller. We'll create a list of levels. Initialize that list. Serialize it. And then back into the game. Again, I didn't tab over because I forget sometimes. And because it's easier for you just to see. So now we have one level. We have this level 1. And we'll add in variables later, like current level and stuff like that for shorthand. But now we can say respawn player.transform.position equals levels 0 dot start position dot position. Ooh, we can actually make that even less confusing. Vector 3. There we go. Now we can get rid of this. That makes a lot more sense. That's more in line with what's expected. Now we have a button for respawning, so we're going to go in, and we're basically going to fake like we are dead. So we move forward, and then we click respawn. Ooh, he's too low. So why is he too low? Actually, you know what? I bet that is probably just the physics freaking out. Or is it? 0, negative 246, negative 2.46. So we think for a moment. Let me go in and debug out their positions while I think real quick. Because the star is here, and its 0 position is here, which is what we want. So it's possible what's happening is my vector, or sorry, my collider is failing. So let's see. Move back, respawn. Yeah, so that's what that is. So what we need to do is we need to call his controller and tell it to set his velocity to 0. So let me create a function on him real quick. And it's a vector 3 for velocity, even though we never affect the z. And then let us try that. It may not work, and if it doesn't, we'll figure it out. That's always the fun part, as it were. Let it compile real quick. Alright, so we move around, got the camera moving. We'll also add a background in a second here so that it's not quite as hard to tell what's going on. But, game controller, move over. So we still, ooh, a stack overflow. So what would be causing stack overflow? Oh, I called respawn on the respawn function instead of the player. Whoops. That would indeed be a stack overflow, calling itself recursively forever. That's an oopsie. That's what they call that. I feel like if you're not doing that every once in a while, you're not even trying, though. Controller, respawn. Okay, so he still went under. And obviously, if we move this position up more, it might not. Oh! Wait a minute. Oh! Okay. I explained earlier that this is his position relative to his parent. So his position is currently negative 246. Now, if we take the player and we move the player to negative 246, there you go. So that's what it is. Okay, so I didn't think I was using his local position. The world position. Yeah, why would his world position be negative 246? That should be his local position. Oh, well, let me log these out. I just said cc.log. Oh no. Let me debug these out. God help me. Start position. So we will debug out his position and his local position to see what's going on here. 'Cause that's not acceptable. Alright, move forward, little buddy. So his world position and his local position are exactly the same. I don't believe I've ever seen that before. Interesting. Because the simplest solution is literally just to save the start position of the player right when the game starts and then just keep moving it back there. But I want to know why this isn't working. I wonder if they added a new function in 2019, maybe. It is world space. Yeah, so basically I would expect... Oh, no, it makes total sense that they would be the same number because the parents are zeroed out. Now, why the... Ah, and the player isn't zeroed out. The player's starting out above the position of the map. Well, below it, but... Right. Okay. It's all coming up Zoidberg. So, if we move the player here, then it works. But I probably won't want to do that in the end. No, it didn't. Now that is perplexing. Oh! Oh, look at where the player's zero position is. Interesting. That's the problem. The anchor position is off. Let's see here. Where do I set anchor position? That's in the sprite itself. That's a bit of a doo-doo. That's okay. We'll move the start position up to match the player position. So it's roughly on that line. So we put it there. That'll fix the problem, and I'll just come back to that later because this is not the sprite that we're going to use forever. It's just one again I'm borrowing for now. Now if we respawn, yeah, okay. So that was it. It was an anchor position problem. I didn't even. Oh man, it's been so long since I've looked at a sprite that wasn't anchored center on the image. Good golly, yeah. Look at the empty space above these things. I wonder why. Yeah, I feel like this hit one with the sad face. Okay, so now we have respawning, we have jumping, we've got camera following, we've got relatively solid physics for now that work with ramps. Now we need to add in, you know, some collectibles and things like that. I think those will be fun. Also climbing, but oh no, we want to do a background first. That's the first thing we want to do. What kind of backgrounds we got here? Got a light blue and a castle-y one. Let's go with castle-y. That sounds good. World. Don't know why I called it backdrop, but that's where we are now. Okay. Draw mode tiled. Oh yes, it needs to be a full rect, which is here. Hit the old apply button. Now, when we stretch it out, oh, is it this way? Ah, yeah. Whoops. Okay. And we need to move that back. Oh, not negative. Positive Z. There we go. Cool. So now, when we move left and right, it'll be a bit more obvious that we're doing so. And while we're at it, let's look at this demo platform. Whoops. Oh. Interesting. Whoa! Okay, so we go 1, 1, 10, 20, 1. Okay, where are you? Oh, there we go. That's already right. That's right. Sort of a weird looking flooring, but it's, again, I think it just doesn't tile well. That's probably what it is. That's fine. Sweet. Next, we need to look at the canvas. Whoops, that was dumb. Doing that stuff while I was running. Okay. There we go. That's all fixed again. So we have a countdown timer. It doesn't currently do anything, but I suppose we could add in a kill function for the player. That seems like a fun option. Go over to player controller. We have a respawn function, but we also need a kill function. And we'll say debug.log. Actually don't need that, because we don't have any variables to pass through. And what we can do is, on the clock, we need to start a few things. I believe we had a clock function, or a clock class. We do! That's hard to say. So we could probably use a Unity event for this. Assuming I get it right. Yeah, that'll work. Don't think it even needs to be public. It's been a while. So, if mathf.ceil time equals 0, we will say on time over is called. And what's wrong here? Oh, is it invoke? Yeah. There we go. And I'll probably grab my event system from my other games and use that here later. But for now, we will say private clock. Or actually, we can just find object of type for now. Find object of type clock dot on time over. Oh, wait, what am I missing here? Ah, fascinating. I've never really used those before. Interesting. And this time we'll set the starting time to like, say, 10 seconds, because ain't nobody got time for 10 minutes worth of counting down. I guess we'll see if it works. Might not. Who knows? If it doesn't, I'll just go grab my other event stuff because it works just fine. It did call it way too many times, but... Okay. Cool. Hide that in Inspector for now. We don't actually need to be able to see it. we go. Run, little buddy. You can make it. Make it to the end of the world. YOLO! Huh. And obviously we need to stop the clock when it goes under. Ooh. Oof, I hate when I mess with the brackets. If clock running. Clock running equals false. Public void. Start timer. Start time. Time equals start time. And yes. Over here. We'll do it here for now. Clock equals this. Clock. Start timer. Alright. Now the game controller should start the clock. The clock should set itself to, whoops, it's gonna set itself to 300. Set itself to 10. And yep, all right, and the timer stopped. So now when we respawn, we want the clock to start again. And it'll be a vicious cycle for all of eternity. Alright, timer's counting down. Okay, so it did stop. Oh, we didn't start the clock over again. Alright. Oh no, it's there. So start timer. It's called in 2 places. It's called on time over. Oh, maybe I didn't save. Let's find out. No, all right. Time to bug test. Or debug, rather. Time over is called because it respawns the player, which calls start timer, which sets clock running to true, and time to start time. And that should mean that clock running is true, which would then minus delta time, seal it out, and keep the setup running. Alright, let's find out. Let's see what, you can also do breakpoints, but in this particular instance, I don't think it's necessary. So 10 and true, that makes sense. And true. So Now we'll come back over and we are going to do a breakpoint. Clock running is currently false. And it is currently false. For why? Well, clearly it would have been here. Interesting. So this invokes... Oh, I bet that's what it is. Time will tell, but I'm pretty sure that was the mistake. And if it is, I will show you. And if it isn't, I will move on and we'll find the actual cause. There we go. Alright, so let's go back over to the code and I'll show you the mistake I made. So what would happen is the invoke would be called, which would then trigger the restart, which would then trigger start timer, or start timer. That would set this to true, and the time to start time. And then clock running would be set to false right after that. So that was the mistake. It's not really a race condition, I don't think, but it's just a error in logic. It happens. It's not a big deal. You find the problem and you move on, you know? Alright, so we got this all good. I do think eventually kill won't be respawning. That'll just kill the player. We'll do something like turn off the sprite. So, suppose we could add another demo platform, just so we have something to jump on. Make this one considerably smaller. Let's see, what's that looking like? Looking pretty good. Drop you right here, home fry. Huzzah! And I think... test this out real quick while my guy continually dies over and over. Horrifying. There, controller. One-way platform. Testing. Yeah! Oh! It goes all the way through it. So we'll have to work on that. Thought I had it down, but oh, duh. There we go. There you go. Ah, now he won't get through. That's it. Do I need to... am I thinking backwards? I think I'm thinking backwards. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. We'll work on that later. Now, we still have a bit of time for today's video. I suppose we could add in some item. Something to pick up. Got any cool coins in here? I do. Because I suppose you're not really platforming if you're not collecting coins. Coins folder. And grab this one. Awesome. Drag that into the scene. And I think we're going to do a little bit of dew tween on it to make it look like it's spinning. Although I guess we could just put an animator on it. Sure. I've been having a bit of fun with that today, so. All right. Going in, adding the animator, assets, projects, world, widgets, coins. Coin spin. Alright, so what will the coin spin be doing? It will be changing the scale. Because we only have one image, so what we're going to do is bring it down to 0, then back up to 1. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So currently, we'll go and record. We'll say scale is 0. Stop. Oh, don't want to do both. That was goof on my part. We want to keep Y correct. Huh? Huh? That's not terrible. That's a spinning coin if I ever saw one. Yeah, some HD spinning coins. Cool. All right. So we'll make that a prefab. And in this prefab, we need to do a few things. We need to add a box. We can do a circle collider. Circle collider 2D. Make it a trigger. Alright, okay. Go into scene so we can see it better. That is far too large of a radius. Five, 4, 5. Yeah, that's good. That'll work. I could probably move it down a little bit. If I knew what I was doing. 2, 5, 2, 1. Yeah, that's not terrible. Yeah, all right, I like that. So we would then do item. Collectible. That seems like a better base class. Eventually, it'll probably change to coin and inherit from collectible, but we'll go with what we got so far. Flip on this bad boy. And we'll do a on trigger. Enter 2D. Debug.log. Did I work? It's always good to just check real quick before you go do a bunch of extra work. It should. Might be a collider entry. Ah, it did. Cool. So we'll go back in. And we will say transform dot. Or sorry, actually, we're going to be getting the sprite render. Get component sprite renderer dot enabled equals false. And up here we will have a well, we're gonna have a function, so public void collect, and it's going to call this. Whoops. And it's also going to set a public boolean which is available. Set to true by default, actually. Whoops. Get that underscore there. Don't. There we go. And we can close that down. And, oh, private set. Okay. This is later in the game if we wanted to have some sort of scoring to tell you how many collectibles you missed, that sort of thing. But when you collect it, it should go away. Ooh. Oh, why did it act like a physics object? So we'll want to fix that. Is that what that is going on about? Yeah, okay. Add a new layer, electables. I just realized I don't have the scene. There we go. And we will change this to a collectible. We will apply all. Go back to the player, add that to our triggers. Yeah, we collected it. Huzzah. Alright. So now we have collectibles that work and can be collected. When we respawn, we want... Again, we're going to do some shorthand here, and we'll clean it up later. In the level, we should have a function called public void reset. And in this, we will, for now, we will find objects of type collectible. Let's do here for each. There we go. Get rid of these. For each collectible in collectible, we will let's go into that. And here we'll set available to true, and we will set the renderer to true. And I'll show you how to use interfaces in a future video to make this a lot cleaner. What did I... Oh, reset. And then back in the game controller. There we go. Save all. And we'll go back to the game, and I think that'll be the end for today. Going around, happy-go-lucky, jumpy-jumpy, collect it, look back. Oh, I wish it was still there, he says. Only it would come back in a second. There it is. Nice. All right, yeah. So thanks for watching. We'll have more coming up, obviously. We're going to see how much of this we can get done this weekend. Doesn't seem like there's all that much left in terms of the basic ideas. Next, we can just start putting in all the different UI pieces. Like, we need to make it so your guy can actually get hurt, and then we'll add hit bars and whatever else. I actually think it'd be cute even to have it so you could have the music get knocked out once we have music in the game. And you have to go find the music again to have it replay and that sort of stuff. But, yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for watching.